This week on Voices of Valor, I sat down with the former Marine Corps staff writer and photojournalist. She's sharing how important it is to document history. Here's Lynn Kinney's story. So kind of tell me about your upbringing, how you grew up.
Sure. A very religious and conservative community and home, very sheltered and oddly enough, also very enabled. Very strong matriarch of my family. My grandmother came here from Central America in the 70s and 60s and 70s, and slowly but surely brought her 10 children over to pursue the American dream. And so I think of myself as a byproduct of that upbringing and a very can-do attitude, and really kind of living the American spirit.
So for you growing up, did you ever think you would join the military?
I don't think it was a direct thing. I think as a kid, looking back, I look at the idea that I was going to be a police officer or a lawyer, and never really, once I got into high school, had contemplated it until it became a serious thought when my older stepbrothers joined the Marine Corps. They encouraged me to join the Air Force, and at that point I thought that I was ready for a bigger challenge. I hadn't really committed to anything or followed through. I worked a little bit, but that was about the extent of it. And when our cousin, who was a Marine Corps recruiter at the time, had a conversation with me about the reality of the service, it kind of just solidified the concept in my mind that it was something that I wanted to pursue.
And so when you got there, what's going through your mind when you actually got over the hump and actually did join?
Yeah. So I would say recruit training is an eye-opening experience for any young individual who's going to pursue the title. I felt pretty prepared, but, lonely, far from home. I miss my mom. I will not say that I was a tough cookie at that time, but I definitely found myself through the experience and learned so much about myself in terms of capability and capacity to endure and kind of dig deep and figure out how to make things happen for myself. So it was really, really cool experience.
And talk to me about just the grind behind that.
Sure.
Boot camp. Talk to me about that.
I think, I don't know that I'd ever been around so many women in concentration. And so lots of opportunity to learn more about people and kind of navigate what it takes to become a team, and navigate personalities and kind of figure out how to pull together and make stuff happen. As much as you learn about yourself, it really is kind of a team building experience. And there's ladies that I went to recruit training with who we still stay in touch. Our families are loosely connected over the years, and so it's been very interesting to kind of draw out the things later on in life that I actually tapped into as a 19-year-old recruit becoming a United States Marine.
So when you think of the military, you hear military, a lot of people automatically assume male service.
Yeah.
So kind of talk to me about what was it like being a female in service?
Sure. It was a little bit different than it is now. Women have grown so much in service over the last 20, 25 years through the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and obviously across conflict, humanitarian missions, and really I think in terms of the Marine Corps, integrating was difficult, but I found that most of the difficulties were self-imposed. Fear driving my decision making, or my own, limitations, either in terms of physical capacity or, training and development, were things that I had to pursue separate to what anyone else might have thought or said or believed. And really, I think the biggest thing that I learned was how much support you get as an individual, man or woman. The system is made to work and pull teams together and grow individuals into strong leaders. So I think as much challenge as I think we had, obviously policy changes and grows, and physical standards have gotten tougher. It's been very cool to see the young women growing into the institution and pushing the boundaries of, I think, not just what they might have thought that their limitations were, but what others might have thought or imposed. So it very, very, I think, satisfying overall to see that. And now I'm a mom of girls, right? I have two young ladies that we're raising, and really, I think the biggest thing that stands out for me is trying to help them navigate their own personal limitations and identify that regardless of, male or female, that they individually will drive how they want to pursue life.
And you being in service, the men actually did treat you as equal because everybody is all one in the military, right?
It is, yes. So, I think you'll always have those conflicts and biases and personalities. I learned that navigating all of those really kind of drove home for me the need to kind of set myself apart and work hard, and definitely not. I don't say that on paper I would be the best Marine, but I know that I worked hard. I went to work and earned my paycheck every day, and it's an all volunteer force. And the only thing that we can hope for is that the young men and women that are joining the service, regardless of sex, are prepared to train, develop, so that they can fight and win battles and return to their communities as quality citizens.
And so for you, what were your roles when you were
Sure.
in service? Talk to me about
So
that.
I started out as a basic writer and photographer. I did what was called initially public affairs, and it really is all about telling the Marine Corps story. My friends and peers were embedded at the unit level to essentially document the experience that those units were having and essentially document history. So a very exciting opportunity to start there and kind of do some video and collect stories and highlight some of the work that, like I said, the all-volunteer force kind of brings forward and makes happen.
So that was mostly what you were doing, just taking videos. Kind of tell me how it is being a journalist
Sure.
for the military.
Sure.
So I'm a journalist for the news, just
Yes,
regular.
yeah.
But what is it like being a journalist, being in the military?
Yeah, so it's essentially being a Marine, being a service member with a camera, integrating and trying to identify and highlight stories. As you grow through the ranks, I dealt with a lot of media and had an opportunity to work with media to highlight opportunities like this, essentially getting Marines in front of the camera and helping them to share their story about their experience and what their units and what those operations that they were participating in were making happen. So later on, I did more communication planning. So essentially it was how will we integrate those individuals into the units? What do we need to do to train and develop them to ensure that they're both technically and tactically proficient as young Marines, but also in storytelling and the craft? I was very, very fortunate to work at the Defense Video and Imagery Distribution Hub in Atlanta, which is essentially what started out as a satellite transmission mission became a mission to collect the stories from across the DoD at the time and create a repository for media outlets to kind of do self-service in finding and highlighting the stories that they wanted to highlight, and just kind of enable storytelling and transparency and truth in the media and all the things that really the oath kind of supports, right, in the Constitution.
So what are some of your favorite stories that you have written up, taken
Okay,
photos
let's
of?
see. Okay. I was thinking about this the other day as we were watching a movie. I had the opportunity to meet John Voight as a young Marine. That was very cool, and 5th Marine Regiment was adopted by the city of Newport, if I remember correctly. And so they hosted Marines at an event, and I had the opportunity to go with my battle buddy and take photos of that event. I also had the opportunity to deploy to Iraq in 2006 and traveled the area with my staff sergeant, Amy Forsyth, and tell the story of what was happening there in Anbar province during the awakening in 2006. I think the most important story that I would say that I've worked with Amy to support was that of Major Megan McClung, who was one of the first female officers killed in Iraq in 2006. She was one of our leaders during that deployment and was actively executing a media engagement when her vehicle struck a roadside bomb. And so over the years, I think I've taken that to heart to then apply and help develop how our Marines have told stories, right? Because it is a very personal thing, and I think at the time I looked at it from I think a much more institutional perspective, and it wasn't until we suffered that loss that it became real. Right, like the loss of life and the importance of telling the story of the individual became really, really important to me. So as awesome as it is to tell about the institution, to talk about the Marine Corps as a whole, the reality for me really became the individual Marine and how do we do that better, right? That craft. And then obviously the survivability of the individual. How do we make sure that the young men and women that we really plan to send into harm's way with the units that they're embedded with are prepared to handle not just the craft, but what it takes to survive and thrive and be of added value to the units that they were attaching to.
So from that experience, you know, how would you, or how important is it that the story is actually told correctly when it actually happens?
Sure. I mean, I would say it's a matter of history. The photos, videos, and the stories that we collect are submitted into the National Archives and really become a part of the textbooks that, you know, my children and, you know, future generations will see of, you know, the history that has happened of our country and our successes and unfortunate failures. And hopefully something to learn from, because it's not just what's written in history, but, you know, pictures worth 1,000 words, not to be cliche, but it really is. And sometimes folks really have to see it to believe it. And there's so much opportunity for us to be able to do that through the work that the young men and women in our community do. Public affairs across the DOW as a whole now is really important.
Did you find yourself, there's just some times where you probably just couldn't bring yourself to kind of write the story, or had to take some time to try to gather yourself? Because, you know, if I got called out to go to some breaking news and, you know, a car accident, for example, there's a body on the side of the road, you know, that's just one type of scenario versus something that you may have seen reporting on actually military affairs where they have wars and roadside bombs and things of that nature. So kind of talk to me about that.
So at the time that I was serving at that level, things were very different. And so, you know, my peer group essentially was embedded, the young men that I served with at the time were embedded at the more tactical level. And so I would say that at the time I was pretty jelly because what Marine doesn't want to go and do the things that we've trained to do. But what I found was my niche. And that was being able to promote the work that they were doing and bring that up to a higher level and kind of give it legs, right? And have it be seen by the American people, which in the end to me was the most important, became the most important. And so while there was no direct conflict for me, the effects of their experiences really drove how I wanted to tell the stories and how I wanted to lead and develop the young men and women that I worked with in the future.
Where else has your career taken you? I know you've seen some beautiful places. What else have you seen?
I think my the biggest surprise, and I would say the freshest experience was actually going to Norway. So every few years, units here from the Camp Lejeune area and Cherry Point deploy to Norway to conduct a series of exercises. And they're scattered throughout. I mean, they change, but they're scattered throughout the region. And so I had the opportunity to go to Norway. I never thought that I'd be above the Arctic Circle. And that was probably the most fun. It's good training, as any Marine will tell you, but probably the one of the highlights of my military experience. And candidly, I think that it really is all about the people. And I would say that that's probably the biggest reason why. Between Kuwait and Norway, it's a close call on the group of people that I deployed with, but definitely the most surprising and one of the coolest experiences of my life. But so much so that I bragged about it, and my girls, I came home and they were saying that they wanted to go to Norway. So it's really cool to be able to see how my experiences have shaped them to kind of broaden their perspective about what they want to pursue and what they want to see and experience in life. So.
Have you seen like a specific difference from, I guess, civilian writing style in news and then military style writing in news?
Yes. It's definitely changed because of the nature of the media has changed. When I came in, I was writing for the base newspaper on Camp Pendleton in California. Very different style in terms of news writing and feature writing. And we transitioned over the years into social media, and that news cycle really kind of became very different for us internally, and our ability to respond to news outlets had to change, and the way that we engaged media had to change. And so in terms of the writing style, yes, military writing is very different from news writing. And for me, it was a big challenge. I think for any young person, as they're trying to balance these two very different and distinct writing styles, it's going to be difficult. It obviously gets easier with practice, but it really is about understanding what it is that news media outlets are looking for, and then trying to tailor the information to ways that it's going to be easy for them to integrate it and kind of make it accessible for the American people.
Do you ever just sit, you took a lot of photos in your career, I'm sure. Do you have a gallery that you keep? Do you ever go back and kind of reminisce on them?
So one of the things that I've learned over the years is file management. And unfortunately, I wasn't very good at it early on. And there's a lot of stuff that I likely have buried in the recesses of some Foot Locker in my garage. But I do have some. And I mentioned Amy Forsyth a little bit earlier. She's been my mentor and friend for over 20 years now. And I'm lucky to have her in my life, because really I would say that she's probably helped to share some of the early stuff that she captured of me when I really wasn't interested. Again, the dynamic was of media was very different, because nobody had, if you had a cell phone, You weren't really taking pictures on it. You weren't taking selfies. And especially for the work that we were doing, we weren't trying to be a part of the story. We were behind the camera. There weren't a lot. I don't recall it. It really took me a while to try to find some of the stuff that I do have. So I do have some, yes. It's not quite as extensive as some of the images that I've taken. And like I said, buried in a footlocker somewhere in my garage. But yeah, it has been fun to kind of work through and try to track some of that stuff down and really share with my family, because at this point, just trying to catalog some things to share with them that they can have as keepsakes.
And talk to me about the work that you're doing now.
Sure, yes. Now we're getting to the good stuff. So I work with NC4Me, like I mentioned earlier, and one of the most awesome things that the organization does is help transitioning service members find career connections. So not just job opportunities, but really place them with employers that value the attributes and skills that they're bringing to the table. A lot of it has to do with kind of illuminating what they themselves might not necessarily recognize. And so I kind of attribute that to the same thing. I'm still doing storytelling. It's just in a different way, and helping draw out from the individuals what it is that they want to pursue, their vision and values, how that aligns to the employment or career opportunities that they want to pursue. And our team does a really awesome job at being able to do that. We have a small but mighty team of veterans and military spouses that help support the work across the state. So it's very exciting to be able to continue to serve and support service members and their families. I think for me, that's been the most rewarding post-service, and candidly, it's helped me. The transition process from leaving active duty is not easy.
Talk to me about that transition
Yeah.
and how important it is to actually have some support to help you to the next level after you do leave the military.
Yes. So I joke about letting my hair down, but it really does take some time to kind of get comfortable in your own skin and figure out who you are fundamentally again when there isn't this structure and institution. For me, in the Marine Corps, it transformed my life and the opportunities that I've been able to pursue and the growth that I've experienced personally and professionally. And so how do I take and not just data dump after leaving service, like, that was an experience that happened to me in the past, but bring with me the lessons of teamwork and reliability and commitment to the mission, and figure out how that is going to serve my life and my family best. And everyone's different based on their priorities. It's going to be a little bit different. There's service members that want to go to school and kind of do a little bit of masking and maybe kind of just be a normal person. But the reality is that it's always inside them, and I think that's one of the coolest parts of the work that we're doing, is to be able to help them connect and tap into and feel good about their service, and feel good about the experiences and the growth that they can now apply to some new aspect of who they will become.
Do you see that people who have been in the military for like a long time, they kind of get like stuck in this character, so then when they try to transition, like you said, it is a bit harder because you're like kind of like stuck in this, even with wearing your hair down. You're just so used to having it in a bun that it feels weird to like wear it out, I guess.
I think it does, but the difference is that we wear everything on our body, right? Like by looking at me in uniform, there's a lot of things that people can tell about me. How long I've been in service, kind of general background in terms of professional development. My rank signifies a certain amount of experience and obviously responsibility. And so there's a lot of things that kind of fall away, and now you're trying to present yourself in a different way that maybe you just don't have practice at it because you never really had to. I didn't have to kind of get dressed up. You know, I wore a camouflage utility uniform for, over 20 years. And so, it does take me a little bit extra time to figure out, and it seems silly, and it's hard to talk about and not feel silly, that what I'm wearing would be such a huge part of my day. But if you look good, you feel good. And that's not necessarily something that we practice. And so it's those little things that kind of, for me at least, and I can only speak for myself, took some time to kind of feel comfortable in my skin again. Not to say that I wasn't confident, that I didn't know my worth and value, what I was bringing to the table, but really feeling good in it and being able to express that and connect with people on that level, communicate that to folks was a little bit more difficult. And I think that's part of the challenge in transition.
Is there anything else that you would like to say that I didn't ask you about?
No, I do want to plug NC for me. I mean, the organization's been out around 10 years, and there's still so many folks that don't know that this free service and support is offered. And it's not just for transitioning service members, it's for veterans, reservists, National Guardsmen, and military spouses as well. And it's just such a value, and it was such a huge help to me to know that there was somebody who was going to help me. My colleague, and now what I consider my battle buddy, David Rakes, is on the team, and he brought me on into the organization. And really just the importance of networking and using all of those folks that you connected with to help bring you and launch you into the next phase of your career. So it's really awesome.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.